Hello everyone and welcome back to This Is Real Life. I'm your host Sheri, and on today's Real Life Friday video, we are going to go into a little bit of a story time. I know, story time on YouTube, groundbreaking, but no really, this is a really good story time. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the story of why curb appeal is contagious. So let me set the tone for you so you get where this story is gonna go. You know that I recently moved into this house. It is a 1954 house and it is in an older neighborhood in my town, which I do love the older neighborhood. That was one of my kind of requests when I was talking to my realtor about the house that I wanted to purchase. I wanted an older home in an older neighborhood where everybody in the neighborhood was really old and they would probably die in their homes. I know, it sounds a little morbid, but I'm done with like the kids roaming the neighborhood, toys and big wheels and whatnots in my front yard. I've been through that. I've done it. I don't want it anymore. I just want a peaceful, quiet, calm neighborhood filled with a bunch of really old people that stay quiet. And that's what I got in this neighborhood. Now, this neighborhood is not in the most desirable area of my town. It's not in the total slums by any means. It is quite a far cry from the beautiful upper middle class bubble that I was in for the last 17, 18 years. The adjustment to the neighborhood, actually not the neighborhood at all, the surrounding areas around the neighborhood has been a little bit of a difficult one for me, I'm not gonna lie. However, this neighborhood is very darling, minus a few bad apples. And those bad apples happen to live on either side of me. Yeah, I'm not gonna say that there aren't a couple bad apples down the way, but the bad apples that bother me the most live to the right and to the left of me. I've been a firm believer forever that if you get out and you work on your front yard, that is contagious. Your neighbors will see you working in your front yard and then they will think, well, shit, I guess I better get out there and mow my lawn too, you know? When I first moved into the house, the neighbors over here, they had moved into that house a few months prior. And I guess they got that house on a super good deal because it was run down from the stories that they tell me. When I moved in, their front yard was no yard at all. It was just dirt and weeds. And I kept thinking, oh my gosh, when are they gonna do something with that front yard? And so when I met them, he was telling me like, oh, I'm gonna take out this giant tree and we're gonna do all of this and then I'm gonna plant lawn. And so I kept thinking, oh my gosh, thank goodness they're not just gonna let their front yard be dirt and weeds that are up to my knee. I kept holding out hope. Nothing was happening with their front yard. Not a damn thing. Then this neighbor over here on this side, I've never seen him. I've never met him. I delivered Christmas cookies to him, set them on his doorstep, but he never like yelled thank you from over the backyard fence, nothing. I've never met him, never seen him this whole time I've lived here. I mean, I've seen him peeping through his backyard, but he was letting his grass like get out of control. I've never seen him out in his yard ever. And so for a very long time, when I would mow my lawn, I would just automatically mow his lawn because I couldn't fucking take it. I couldn't take it. This has been going on for quite some time. And day after day, it was really pissing me off. And then it got worse. These neighbors, they started parking one of their cars on their lawn. Not in their driveway, not on the street, just right up on the lawn. And I was like, oh, hail to the no. You have got to be fucking kidding me. That is where I draw the line. Like, no, and no. But it's like, what do you do? So I was thinking, okay, the first time, maybe it was just a temporary one-time thing. No, they kept doing it. They kept doing it day after day after day for months and months and months. And then I was driving into my neighborhood and I noticed maybe 4 houses down that way, someone else parked on their lawn. And I was like, oh, these motherfuckers. motherfuckers. They're setting the tone for this whole neighborhood to go to shit. Am I worried that they're gonna see this YouTube video? No, I am not. Although I really do like them. I just need to tell the story. I was getting real pissed. I liked them a lot, but I was getting real pissed because it was like the value of this cute little older neighborhood was just going down and down on a daily basis. So I saw them and I was like, oh, that better have been a one-time thing. And it was. I have not seen them park on their lawn ever since then. I think it was a one-time thing. But the other day, like 4 or 5 houses down that away, I saw someone parking on their lawn. And I can't tell you how super fly fucking pissed I was. It started to become a thing where I was like, this is fucking it. I can't live here anymore. Instead of like being on the rise, it is being on the not rise. And I could not understand for the life of me, and I still can't to this day, why people do not take pride in where they live. I just can't. Even if you're a renter, you should have pride in where you live. You should keep up your yard. You should weed. You should mow. You should only park your car in the garage, the driveway, or on the street. I think it's a rule in the Constitution. Do not park your car on your lawn. Especially when looking for this house, I was driving into all sorts of neighborhoods I have never been in before in my town. And the sucky part about these older home neighborhoods that I would die to live in because, you know, they just don't make houses like this anymore. I don't mind newer tract homes. I've lived in one for a very long time. There's something about the charm of an older home. And not to mention the fact that I really like fixing it up, bringing it back to its glory, not totally erasing its history, but maybe adding a couple little modern flares or a little bit of a modern take on something that once was. I love that about this house. It just floors me when I drive into these neighborhoods where you see this darling house, but it is just so fucking run down. Oh my gosh, I can't even tell you. There was this one house. I hear what's happening. I'm really tangenting, but you guys stick with it. It's fine. That's why you tune in. That's why you've sat down, you're relaxed, you've got a beverage, a snack. You live for the tangents. I know it. Don't worry. I'll circle back. Before I stumbled upon this house, I was looking at this other house in this neighborhood that was really not desirable at all. Going into these neighborhoods, I kept thinking in my mind, it's just gonna take me moving in. It's just gonna take me being in the neighborhood, fixing up my front yard, fixing up the front of the house before it just starts like wildfire and everybody will follow suit. I just kept believing that. So this one house that I was looking at was super darling. It was purchased by an investor, and so they went in and redid the whole thing, which I'm not a super huge fan of, but I really did like the layout of this house. However, the next door neighbors to this house, they did not give a shit about the house that they lived in. Zero pride. I don't know if they owned it or rented it. It doesn't matter because their entire front lawn was covered in 17 million boxes of I don't know what, chairs. It looked like they had an ongoing, everyday, 24/7 yard sale. An old trailer parked on the side of their house. A car that was no longer running. The tires were flat. The windshield was busted out. I think they had 17 satellite dishes just thrown about. And I was like, there's no way that me moving into this house and like mowing my lawn and planting flowers is gonna make this neighbor clean up all of this shit, because this has clearly been going on for a million years. I didn't put an offer in on that house. And I've seen many houses like that. And I was starting to think after I moved into this house that I unknowingly moved into a neighborhood where people don't take pride in where they live. And it was bumming me the fuck out. After they'd been parking on their weeded lawn, and then I saw them parking on their lawn that one time, and then them down there, I was like, oh shit. Oh, I'm in trouble. I am in big trouble. I'm gonna have to move. I honestly started looking for houses. I know, it's crazy. I was looking around this house going, oh, I love everything that I've done and I have so many plans to do so many more darling cute things. And once I'm in this house, I love being in it. I love sitting in my backyard. I mean, my backyard needs work, but I love being in my backyard. It's so quiet and oh, I just love it. But I was thinking, okay, stop all your plans, just finish painting the rooms, just clean some shit up, fix the electrical that you just tore apart over here and be done with it. Put this house for sale and get the fuck out of this neighborhood because this is not the neighborhood you want to live in. I would come home on a regular basis, call John and complain to teacher Jen at every turn. She was like, maybe you can get your pool this next summer or whatever. And I was like, I don't know about that because I don't know if I want to put any more money into this house and put a pool because according to my realtor friend, no matter how much you spend on a pool, it only adds about $10,000 worth of value to your home. I'm not gonna put in a fucking pool only to get $10,000 more in the value of this house because guess what? If I sell it, I probably won't even get what I put into it. It was so weird because one day I'd come home and I'd come inside and be like, no, I love it here. And then the next day I'd come home and see their car on the lawn and just be like, fuck this place, I'm out. But housing prices, oh my God. And to be quite honest, couldn't afford to move right now, even if I sold this house. On the plus side, I've already made money on this house because housing prices are going up every single day. But I wouldn't make enough money on this house to buy another house at clearly inflated prices. I was like, what am I gonna do about this neighborhood? Like, I thought it was cute, filled with old people. I thought all the old people just like, you know, had gardeners and stuff. But no, they duped me. They duped me. So then I started thinking, okay, I'm gonna have to make a neighborhood newsletter. And I thought all about the newsletter. I even had John on board to design me a newsletter. It was gonna be titled Neighborhood Pride. I'm not joking. And it was gonna be just like little tricks and tips, fun facts about housing prices are continuing to increase and whether you're looking to sell your home or just refinance, you know, curb appeal or the lack of curb appeal can decline property value. I don't know the right words, but you know what I'm trying to say. Little tips and tricks that would also include things like, here are some free ways you can update your house. Don't have a lawnmower? Ask your neighbor. Don't park on your lawn. I was gonna make a whole neighborhood pride newsletter, secretly pass it around to all of my neighbors in hopes to drop a little hint that some people in the neighborhood need to start taking some pride in where they live. Not only where they live, but where we all fucking live. This has really been bothering me. It's really been bothering me. Now, I've been trying during the colder months to say, Sheri, cut your neighbor some fucking slack because you haven't been out in your yard either. All you've been doing is mowing the lawn. You haven't been weeding, you haven't been planting anything. It's freezing outside. Maybe when the months get a little bit warmer, they'll be out in their yards and everything will be great. Well, the warmer months have come. To my chagrin, nothing was happening with my neighbors. I was still mowing this neighbor's lawn on a regular fucking basis. Our side yards, there's no like hedge divider, there's no fence divider. So any weeds and long lawn that happens to be technically on their side yard looks like it's part of my side yard. I'm trying to, you know, make it look like just because these people don't have nice yards doesn't mean I don't have a nice yard. But like I said, warmer months have been approaching, even though right now I'm in a fucking turtleneck and a sweater because all of a sudden the temperatures just totally dropped and it's really cold outside right now. But we have had some very nice weekends as of lately. So knowing that we had some very nice weekends as of lately and then I didn't see my neighbors out in their yard, I was getting even more pissed than I had been before. And I was back on the track of, you're moving. I do not want to spend my years, what I have left, in a shitty fucking neighborhood. It was bothering me. The newsletter sounds super fucking passive aggressive. I know this. However, what am I supposed to do? Cause conflict with my neighbor? One who I've never met before, and one who is so fucking darling. The mom, she has come over on several occasions and brought me food that she's made. She's just super darling. And so, A, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. B, I don't want anybody to think I'm the bitch of the neighborhood. Like, oh wow, this lady moves in and now all of a sudden the neighborhood isn't good enough. I didn't want to come off as that. So I was like, ugh, what am I gonna do? So I'll tell you what I did. Now, mind you, I am still a believer in keeping care of the front of your yard is contagious. However, I was starting to not believe that. I was mowing my lawn, and while it wasn't looking like super pristine every single minute of every day, at least I was out there trying to keep it presentable during the colder months. But we're not. I was starting to believe, well, maybe I don't believe that anymore. So last weekend before, I was at my wit's end. When you're at your wit's end, you turn to the Google. So I literally Googled, Google, you have the answers for everything. How to get your neighbors to take pride in their home. I stumbled across uglyducklinghouse.com. She starts talking about her neighbors. It felt like she had a very similar situation to mine. She went over the whole thing about how a note in your neighbor's mailbox, kind of passive aggressive. Everything I was thinking. She was like, not really a good way to go about it. And then she said one thing in particular that really did stick with me: how to get neighbors to fix curb appeal problems. Realize whose problem it really is. Real talk. The fact that you think your neighbor's house is an eyesore isn't really their problem. It's yours. You are the one who wants it to change. So it's your problem to deal with and your job to find out if there's a solution. So when I read that, I was like, you know what? She is right. Clearly not their problem. They don't care. It's me who's making the big deal out of it. It's me who is getting pissed off every single day. It's me who is thinking I need to sell my house now, even though it's fucking darling as shit. I am the one with the problem. So what am I going to do to solve the problem? And so here's what I did. I went back to my very initial school of thought. Curb appeal is contagious. I also thought, maybe there is a reason he's not mowing his lawn. Maybe he doesn't have a lawnmower. Maybe he's not physically capable of mowing his lawn. Maybe they're not weeding because of financial issues. Maybe they don't have the money to put into their front yard right now. Once I changed my mindset and said, Sheri, you need to stop this because you really do love your house. You really do like this neighborhood. You just have a few little issues that are fixable. They're not the end of the world. You don't need to put your house up for sale. It's gonna be fine. So last weekend, I decided I'm gonna handle the issue. And I went outside because it was a beautiful, beautiful Saturday. And I said, guess what? I'm going out front and I'm gonna do some yard work. Well, I am gonna do yard work in my own yard, like mow and edge my lawn, but I'm actually going to do yard work on my neighbor's side yard, which looks like it's part of my yard, but it really isn't. How it goes is it goes their front yard, their driveway, their side yard, my front yard, my driveway. That side yard looked like it was my front yard. No one's walking by and checking out the fence line to see the property line and where it falls. It literally looks like it's my side yard covered in knee-high weeds. I got my little weeding bucket, got my little weeding tools. I went and sat on the sidewalk and I started pulling the weeds. And lo and behold, the neighbor came out. She had her little sun hat on, she had a little trowel, and she started digging in the weeds with me on that side yard. Then, while I was like mowing and stuff around, she moved over into her front yard and she started getting all of the weeds out of her front yard. And then, I went and got us waters and whatnot, and we were enjoying a little bit of conversation. She was explaining to me, she has tons and tons of pictures of these flowers, and she was showing me all these plants that she still has in the pots from the nursery because she doesn't know where to plant them yet because I want to say it's her daughter, it could be her son's girlfriend, I'm not quite sure. They park on the lawn, and so she doesn't really know where to plant these plants that she has. So I was telling her, well, don't let them park on the lawn anymore. They can park on the street or park in the driveway. And she was saying they can't park in the garage because the garage is too full, which I know a lot of people that's like that, and I'm sorry, but for me, my garage has to be super cleaned out because I am not parking my car outside. It gets too damn cold and too damn hot. I need my car in a garage so that I can just get in, there's no ice on the window, no nothing, and get out. So I make sure my garage can at least fit my car. But I get it, a lot of people have their garage as full out fucking storage and they can't fit their car. So they have 3 cars and our driveways are pretty narrow. They can only fit 2 cars in the driveway. And so the 3rd car would have to park on the street. While the driveways are really long, she can't really park in the driveway because then she would be behind one of the cars, and then if, that car has to leave before this one, and it just is a whole mess. Believe me, I know. When Davis was driving, he had to park on the street because it is a pain in the ass to shuffle cars around. So I was like, yeah, but that car could park out on the street. And then she was telling me she didn't want to park on the street because she didn't feel that our neighborhood was very safe, and that she felt like parking closer to the house made it so that her car wouldn't get broken into. Now, this was alarming to me because I don't want to live in a neighborhood where people don't feel like it's safe. And so I told her the reason she may not think that this neighborhood is safe is because I don't know how I worded it, because right now when I'm retelling the story, it's kind of sounding shitty, but along the lines of, if we all come together to keep up the neighborhood and beautify the neighborhood, it will ensure that the neighborhood is a safe neighborhood. The minute we all as a neighborhood start letting the neighborhood go downhill is when the neighborhood becomes an unsafe neighborhood. She agreed. I told her, I, for one, do not want to live in an unsafe neighborhood. We need to come together and make sure that that doesn't happen. And one way we can ensure that is by taking pride in the appearance of our front yards. So now I didn't know if this conversation was gonna fall on deaf ears, or because it's not her car, I was talking to the mom, I wasn't sure if that whole conversation was going to make a difference. But anyways, we spent all day in the yard. She was in her yard getting all the weeds out of where their front lawn would go. I was weeding the side yard. I was weeding my yard. I was doing a whole bunch of stuff. And then her son came home. I really do like this family. I really do. It sounds like I'm talking a lot of shit, but I really, really like them. And the son came home and he was like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. And I was like, it's not a problem. I said, your mom, she's brought me so much food. I was already out here mowing my lawn. The least I could do as a payback for all the cooking your mom does for me is to come weed this side yard. It was not a big deal at all. Oh, we really appreciate it. And then he was telling me oh, I'm gonna get this stump thing because they chopped down that tree, but the stump was still there. And I said, oh my gosh, I had a tree in my backyard chopped down, but they left the stump too. And he's like, oh, I'll rent the stump thing. You wanna split it with me next weekend? And then I'll remove my stump and then I can come over and remove your stump. And I was like, yeah, for sure. So that whole thing happened. So I was really excited about it, and it was really making me happy that they were out there fixing up their yard. Well, then I noticed as I was mowing this side that neighbor, he must have hired a gardener or something, I don't know, because his lawn was looking pretty good. So I was like, dang, okay, things might be happening. It was, I don't know, kind of late in the day on Saturday. Me and the mom were beat, and so she's like, I'm going in. She did a lot of work out there. So I was like, cool, I'm gonna go in too. But I really didn't go in. Got in my car and I went to the Home Depot because all my flower beds are just dirt. So I wanted to get some bark. I know you know that I have a protest going on with the Home Depot right now. I did go to my local hardware store that I'm in love with, but their bags of bark were almost $9 a bag and they only had 5 bags. So I was like, shit, I guess I'll head over to the Lowe's. But before I get to the Lowe's, the Home Depot is actually right there. So I was like, I could drive 10 more minutes to the Lowe's, or I could just zoom in to the gardening section of the Home Depot, even though they're on protest, grab some bark, run out. And lo and behold, they had 4 bags of bark for $10. So I bought a shit ton of bark and I laid bark all in their side yard. I laid bark all in my flower beds, everywhere. I was short some bark. I needed to go back to the Home Depot the next morning. You guys are never gonna believe what I saw Sunday morning when I went to go to the Home Depot. I get in my car, I pull out of my garage. Their car was parked on the street. Not on their dirt lawn. It was on the street. I couldn't believe it. I was so fucking excited. So I went to the Home Depot, I started laying the bark, and then the mom came out. So I wanted to make sure that she was okay with the bark that I laid on their side yard, because technically not my side yard at all. She said that she liked it and she wanted to plant some roses there, and that got me really, really excited. So, point of the story is curb appeal is contagious. And if you live in a neighborhood where you have a couple bad apples and it's really, really, really starting to become a problem, remember, it's not their problem, it's your problem. You are the one that is having the issue with their lack of curb appeal. And just looking inward and thinking maybe there's a reason they've let their yard go. Maybe there's a reason they haven't repaired that drain pipe. Nothing even needs to be said. It's not like I knocked on her door to say, hey, knock, knock, knock. Just so you know, I hope it's okay. I'm gonna weed your side yard and I'm gonna edge your sidewalk area. Just go do it. And guess what? Your neighbors will appreciate it, because maybe there is a reason why they can't get out in their yard. Maybe it's physical issues like I mentioned, maybe it's financial issues like I mentioned. Maybe they just didn't see it being as shitty as it was until you came over and started helping them pull weeds or mowing their lawn. And now, because I took it upon myself to just help out my neighbors, I can tell for 100% they're so excited to get their front yard done. They're no longer parking on their dirt. The cars that they own are either in the driveway or on the street in front of their house. The son was like, I'm gonna rent a tiller and I'm gonna till up this whole front yard and my backyard. I'm gonna try to work on that next weekend after I get the stumps removed. Curb appeal is contagious, so don't lose hope. If you have a few neighbors that have let their yards go, get out in your own yard. It might not be the beautiful Norman Rockwell painting that you think it is, because believe me, when I was out working in my yard, I was like, oh shit, you do have some weeds, lady. And all of these dirt flower beds don't look that great. I just spread some bark, cleaned it up a little bit, and now it looks really good. Obviously, there are more things to do, but in the interim, it looks pretty good. And I know for a fact, when people drive by, they're taking notice, because shit's going down in my neighborhood. The neighbors that I live around, it's starting to show, and they're getting out in their yards and they're making them look as great as they possibly can. And that is making me so much happier about living in this neighborhood. So yeah, all of that story time to say this. It's very easy to complain about your surroundings, but the minute you lead by example, you will find how quickly people will follow suit. No one wants to live in the shittiest house on the block. That's for 100% certain. And so if you get out there, pull some weeds, edge your lawn, and maybe you help a neighbor by pulling their weeds and edging their lawn, it will catch on. And before you know it, you will be driving down the most picturesque neighborhood street in all the land. Cause why? Cause curb appeal is contagious. That's why. Once I realized that the problem was not my neighbors and it was my problem, I feel so much better about it, and I feel so much better that I went and did something about it, and it actually made a difference. A good difference at that, because it has now been a couple, 3-4 days. They're not parking on their lawn. That lawn over there looks real good. So it's happening, people. It's all happening. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel. Be sure to ring that notification bell so that you are alerted to all of the Real Life Friday videos I push out, which is every other Friday at 5:30 Pacific Standard Time. Make sure you share this video with your family and friends. And as always, thanks for hanging out. We did it, Joe.